we're gonna go over picks and bans here. Okay, so blue team has banned out Braum, LeBlanc, and Jax. LeBlanc is a less common ban now, but does snowball very, very heavily. So there's nothing wrong with banning out LeBlanc per se, but it should not be high priority ban in my opinion. I also don't agree with Braum ban. Braum is a very, very powerful champion in an organized gameplay, in higher elo, but he does not have good kill potential in lane. He is very ult reliant, he's very team reliant. So while Braum is a very strong support, and I would never try to deny that, Braum is not a solo queue monster, right? You're going to pick something like Thresh, you're going to pick something like Morgana, you're going to pick something like Nami, or there's a whole long list of supports that are very, very good in solo queue that might not necessarily be as strong in competitive play. So Braum, it's a fine ban. I'm not judging you for banning it, but you might want to reconsider that. Personally, I like banning out Morgana. She invalidates so many support picks and is a very popular champion. Jax, a little weaker, but still I could understand why you're banning it. Shyvana, maybe that's a lower elo thing. I don't see that many Shyvanas, and I don't view her as being that overpowered or that effective. But she's a good pick. I might have banned something like an Evelynn or like one of the aggressive junglers over that. Kassadin, since his nerfs, definitely not worth banning. Lucian I definitely agree with, though. A lot of people don't pay attention to patch notes. They've essentially removed Kassadin from the game. Kassadin is still... he will always, always, always be a fine pick if you can survive laning phase, if you're a good Kassadin. But he's not the solo queue monster he was before, where literally you roll face on a keyboard, boom, you won the game. So Kassadin is a much riskier pick at this point. I don't view him as worthy of a ban. Fizz, still a strong mid laner, really relies on snowballing the lane, getting that early advantage and turning it into a strong late game advantage. I would say the same about Zed. Zed is much weaker than he used to be, but is still fine if you play him well. So they're going to really have to play towards their strengths. I want to keep an eye on this lane, because whoever gets ahead early is probably going to stay ahead, unless the other person like pulls off crazy roam or counter ganks or counter jungling or something, right? The laning phase itself is going to be very binary. Either you're ahead and you win, or you're behind and you lose. Top lane is going to be Aatrox versus Garen. Aatrox has some really good early offensive potential if you can abuse it. That being said, Garen is pretty... I don't want to call him face roll. He has some intricacies to his kit if you're playing him at a very not high level, but if you're playing him to his fullest potential. But he'll probably be able to survive that early game, because it's not like a whole bunch of skill shots or careful positioning. It's literally like, okay, I turned on my steroids, I'm fine. Both junglers have very good early pick potential in terms of just like setting up kills for themselves, setting up ganks. But Lee Sin is probably a slightly better counter jungler and duelist early game. So I want to see if he is able to set up those early jungle invades, if he's able to set up those early kills. Bot lane, I don't like Caitlyn Leona. Caitlyn doesn't pair well with Leona. And my reasoning for that is Leona's only real use is diving in and setting up a fight. But Caitlyn just kind of wants to poke and just sort of kite around your team, dealing a little bit of damage over time. So I don't like those two paired together. I prefer pairing a Caitlyn with something like a Thresh, who has some damage of his own, has some good disengage potential, has some other playstyle besides hard engage. I also like Nami with Caitlyn because of the E applying so well to those long-range poke abilities. I like even like a Karma, because you have that early poke potential, you have that early game strength to set up kills. So that's my own opinion. Alright, sorry, I have to update the on-screen ticker there. Okay, that has been updated. In the meantime, Tristana and Thresh. That's actually a pretty good pairing, I would argue. Thresh has some early pick potentials. If, let's say, Leona tries to dive in a fight that they don't really want, Thresh can punish that, followed up with auto attacks, flays, and then hooking them as they're running away. If Caitlyn can manage her positioning properly during... if Trist can manage her positioning properly during that and not get caught out by Leona, I would expect them to be able to set up some early potential. Zone out Leona, set her behind, and once she's behind, she doesn't have a whole lot of ways to get back in outside of ganks or really weird dives or something like that. That's my own opinion. Overall team comps. The Fizz Aatrox Leona. That's a decent wombo combo. Leona ult into Fizz ult into Aatrox lockdown with his knock-up, his slows, that sort of thing. Kha'Zix can then kite around cleaning up. Caitlyn can poke away, use her Pelt over Peacemaker, use her ult across that. That's a decent team fight combo. That being said, Caitlyn gets outscaled by Tristana. So the question is, are they going to be able to keep Tristana alive? And I would say yes. They have the Thresh hook, they have the Thresh Flay, the box, the Lantern. Lee Sin has his kick, he has his slow. Garen has the silence to make Fizz or Kha'Zix's life hell if they try and jump in and really go balls deep onto Trist. So if Trist is able to position, if Trist is getting ahead, I would expect her to stay ahead. Same with Zed. If Zed is ahead and is able to either split push, duel, or assassinate, he is going to be quite useful. For example, here's just a hypothetical. Let's say Zed gets onto Fizz or Caitlyn and just zeroes them out. At that point, who do you have to deal with Tristana? Okay, a Leona ult. Who's following that up? Kha'Zix, Aatrox. Okay. Kha'Zix jumps in, gets like a Q on, Tristana jumps away. Aatrox jumps in. Okay, you've extended the CC, you've hit a couple times. Maybe you'll take her down, but between Flay, hook, box, Lee Sin kick, Lantern, Trist jump, Trist knockback, I would expect Trist to be quite safe. So a lot of this is going to boil down to Zed and Tristana and how far ahead they are able to get, or how far behind they avoid getting. If they can sort of go even or pull ahead, they're going to be quite scary late game. And they also have a split push advantage from Zed and Trist and Lee and Garen. I don't know. I kind of like Purple Team's comp a little bit better, but I would argue that Blue Team has a little bit better pick potential in just like locking down a single target and making an advantage from it. Anyways, we're about to load into the game here. I have a few questions coming through chat, talking about like they shouldn't invade because of Leona or because of these other things. I'm not talking about level 1 invades, although they can invade no problem. Personally, I would argue that Purple Team should always go to the tri-bush bot lane. Just sit in the bush. If their support or AD carry tries to guard it, boom. Set up some CC, make them waste their summoners, make them waste some health, or get a kill onto them. That being said, Leona is pretty decent at cancelling out those plays, so there's no loss. There's no real risk involved with doing that play. The only exception to that rule is if you have a terrible level 1 on your support. Let's say you're playing Zyra support, or you're playing Zillion support, or I'm trying to think of any other examples, because right now it all boils down to your level 1 and 2. Tarek support. There's some champions like that where you might not want to invade if you're versus, let's say, an Alistar, a Blitzcrank, something like that who's going to have crazy re-engage potential or crazy punishment for you falling out of position or not being quite on the same page as your team. So those are like the only couple examples I can think of, but setting up that level 1 in Tribush is one of the best ways to build an advantage for yourself, in my own opinion. Okay, so we have loaded into game here. Just going to line up all the portraits. Ooh, it'd help if I could click things. Okay, so looks like Purple Team has some pings going on to the enemy red buff. Looks like they probably will be at least sneaking around here. That's what I would expect. In the meantime, Blue Team is immediately going to try and cover it. What is up with this? I can't control the screen at all. I can't control the spectator client at all right now. Yep. Cool. I'm just going to switch to full screen then. A good Fizz saves Trickster for after Zed ults. A good Zed ult after Fizz Tricksters. I would pretty much agree with that. It's going to boil down to who uses their skills worse, essentially. Oh, come on. Even in full screen, I cannot control the client. It just like moves my mouse right off screen. Nope, I can't do nothing. I'm going to try and fix this. Looks like they did not go for their invades. I'm going to have to just like click on characters to follow them, because I can't control the camera. If I try and move my mouse over to the left-hand side, it just scrolls right off screen and doesn't move it. I know I can use WASD, but It's not WSD, it's arrow keys. What are you talking about? I'll just go with that, but I'm probably just going to have it like auto-following or some shit. Okay, so in your leash, I generally only do about 2 or 3 auto attacks because you need to push bot lane. You need to get level 2 first. If you're not able to do that, then you're going to have some issues. That's fine. Going through there, you have a Thresh. Thresh did start Flay. That's pretty much expected. If you're not invading, if you don't catch someone out, you're going to want Flay for the auto attack harass, and you're going to want it to disengage any of Leona's engages. So whoever hits level 2 first in bot lane sets up essentially the potential for that lane. Because you have 2 skills, engage right at level 2, especially on a character like Thresh or Leona, and you can get a large amount of damage on your opponent. I want to take a peek back at mid lane, because it is going to be very snowbally here. Both bot laners are about to hit level 2, though. Maybe I'll switch back down to that. That's a lot of auto attack cancels. That seems kind of odd. So bot lane hit level 2 and didn't really set up any plays with it. That's unfortunate. That's really one of the biggest things. You have to set up potential during that. I don't like that Zed play. He cancels his auto attacks too often on minions, and then had to panic flash out because he did not react quickly enough. I'm not sure if he's lagging or what's going on. You also just overstayed massively. Once you're to that health, you know Fizz can kill you, right? So at that point you have to back out, wait on your potions to tick, or just go back to base. Alright, so Lee Sin's going to try and counter gank here. It might be too late though. Kha'Zix is getting in pretty quickly. Aatrox's not following up the gank though. You need to be on the same page as your jungler. So in Kha'Zix's case, he needs to be calling out that gank, and he needs to make sure that his top laner is going in on it. Again, Aatrox not responding to these fights very quickly. You need to watch your map, you need to be communicating, and you need to be following up these plays. In the meantime, sending him back allows Lee Sin to get some counter jungling done. I really like this decision to just take away some advantage for yourself. You've sent back their jungler, you may as well take his jungle too. In bot lane, CS advantage, not really any difference. Caitlyn's slightly ahead, but there's a couple extra minions, so that's going to even out right now. I'm surprised there's not more poke going down. I suppose they have burned through potions on Thresh, but I'm surprised Caitlyn's not poking a little bit more. You might want to work with your support a little bit more closely. Make sure that she's essentially sitting right on top of you so that they can't try and engage or set up any plays on you. And then you can just sort of constantly go up, auto attack, auto attack, auto attack, throw a Q or 2 across them, and set up a lot of damage. Alright, so I don't know. Zed, you want to keep your shadows up. If they are down, then Fizz is free to engage onto you. You can't afford to use them offensively in this lane. You need to be dodging out a Playful Trickster. If not, you're going to get slowed. He's going to get 2 or 3 free auto attacks on you as you run away, and then he can like Q after you to keep in range. Caitlyn should definitely poke with her passive more. That's what I was referring to. Looks like they do get the kill. Flash wasn't quite needed, but at the end of the day, it all works out. Trist... Okay, that was weird. It looked like Trist was going to try and jump in and finish off the kill, but he didn't really move at all, so I don't know what happened there. I'm also not sure why Caitlyn didn't kill him, because she needed 2 auto attacks. She could have auto attacked, walked forward, auto attacked a second time, and she would have got the kill. Not quite on point with your Q either. Alright, so he is potioning up now. I'm surprised he didn't do that earlier. He does have heal up, so I mean he could have baited out that fight if they tried to dive. It just seems odd. At least I'm not going to land that gank. Looks like Fizz is going to get another kill for himself. I'm going to rewind that, but I can tell you right now what happened. Zed used his shadow, he then went offensive. Alright, lands his ult because he hits level 6 first. You need to watch their levels. If you don't, you're going to die. Same thing, level 2, level 3, and level 6. Those are the 3 main ones you always want to be watching. Fizz hits 6, Zed stays, uses his shadow offensively, boom, you're dead. That's what's going to happen every time. So that's definitely something for him to work on. He needs to watch that positioning. He needs to be aware of those decisions, essentially. So as I also mentioned in the pregame, whoever wins lane mid is going to continue winning outside of jungle help or roaming. So at this point, Zed's decision has to be, how can I survive lane? Okay? So it looks like he's going towards a little bit of health, some extra potions. I don't know if I'd agree with that. I'm not sure what that ruby crystal's really going to be useful for, but I'll wait and see. At this point, he needs to freeze that tower, he needs to farm as best he can, and then he needs to scale up and split push mid to late game. You're not going to win lane. Don't try to. You're not going to get kills that way. So that's what he needs to work on. I'm also very happy seeing the Lee Sin get some counter jungling done. Every time I look, he's taking away some of Kha'Zix's jungle. And that's a really, really good decision on his part. It's not really any risk. Just keeps himself farming up. He's about halfway to level 6. I would expect to see him probably going bot at that point. Again, Fizz trying to fight. You used your shadows offensively. Oh, no, you didn't use them offensively. You used them defensively. Alright, well, good escape. But at this point, go back to base. Don't try and potion. Don't try and stay in lane. You are going to be one shot. You're not level 6. There you go. Go back to base. Good. You don't want that, Lee. Yeah. So Lee almost got that, but that could be a communication issue from Zed. You need to make sure that you know the ult is up. You need to pay attention to ult timers. You might not necessarily know exactly when it's up, but you should have an approximate idea of, oh, he literally used it 10 seconds ago. It's down still. Oh, he didn't use it in that last fight. It must still be up or almost up. So Lee Sin trying to fight there. You're down 2 levels or 3 levels. You don't have any damage items, really. I don't even know if you had these longswords at that point. It was just a poor decision to try and fight that. And I see a lot of junglers do that in low elo, where they're trying to fight a fed mid laner, being like, I'm going to shut him down. Oh, okay, but how safe is that decision? Lee didn't ult. He ulted at the very end, did he not? No, he was level 5. He was level 5. What are you talking about? That's why I said you don't want to fight when you're level 5 versus a level 7 Fizz who has a couple kills and a Sheen and etc. Alright, so we're giving blue over to Fizz. At this point, Fizz has one lane. There's no debating that. He's one lane. It's done. So, he needs to translate that potential into other lanes if he wants to make sure his team doesn't, and I'm not saying his team's going to or that his team's doing poorly, but in a solo queue environment, you need to make sure your team doesn't throw away the advantage. So, as soon as you get an advantage, transfer it into other lanes. Take Dragon, gank bot lane, steal the enemy jungle, kill their enemy jungle, do something to influence other lanes, right? So, yes, he might want to take a couple more kills on Zed if he can. But at this point, I want him looking for opportunities for where he can roam, where he can gank, and try and set up those plays. Lee had flash, but yeah, okay, that makes sense. I was going to say, like, he had flash ult and he didn't really ult anyone, but he was way, way, way too low on Garen. He wasn't going to be able to follow that up. Yeah, an ult from Fizz is a kill in any lane. Zed does need to stop pushing lane. I mentioned earlier he needs to freeze that tower. If he's unfamiliar with freezing or how to freeze or various techniques for it, there are many good YouTube guides on how to do that. I would highly suggest he looks some up, and it'll help him out a lot. Alright, yeah, okay, that worked. He does not have flash there. I was just waiting to see if he did some sort of a flash kick or a ward kick. That was not the case here. So Fizz is top. Lee ignored it, so that's going to be a kill over to Fizz. You need to pay attention to your character as it's moving between lanes. I'm not saying that he would have been able to do much there, but he still needs to be aware. Fizz could have killed him right there if that was how he was inclined to play that. I don't know, I think he needed to watch that a little bit closer. So, what I said he should do, so really good job there, Fizz. At this point, you might want to pressure some objectives. Enemy blue buff, Dragon, maybe even sneaking a ward onto their red so you can catch their jungler out and kill him. You need to use that gold advantage to your team's advantage. So getting vision, getting objectives, ganking, etc., etc. I wouldn't say there's much point to a lane swap at this point. Fizz is too far ahead. He's going to be able to kill anyone they send mid. And Zed's not worth a whole lot of gold, so just keep him there. I don't like this idea. Zed's going and rushing what appears to be a Banshee's Veil. No damage items on Zed means you have no use. Alright? Zed is only useful if he's dealing damage. He doesn't have any utility in his kit besides a very minor slow. So if you're going to play Zed, you know you have to build damage. So don't try and like pigeonhole yourself into a build that's not going to work. Okay, so he goes a little bit too deep on top. Looks like Fizz should be able to get this. He does have his ult. He has Ignite. I would expect him to just Ignite and walk away, yeah. Alright, maybe dropping a ward on their red buff would be a good idea here. It sucks that there's no jungle timers in the spectator client, even though there are in the standard one now. Kha'Zix needs to get a little bit tanky. Yeah, but it's too early in the game for that. He needs at least 1 or 2 damage items first. Okay, so he's rotating top, and it looks like they're going to try and push in this top tower. Lee Sin is rotating around to try and stop this, but 1v2 with a wave of minions, it's probably not going to go in your favor. They also don't know where Fizz is. It's not an issue in this case, but that's something they might want to keep in the back of their mind, that, ooh, we don't know where the scary Fizz is. Alright, so he's going to clear the minions. That's a much better decision fighting, so I like that. Meanwhile, bot lane, which I haven't really had much reason to take a look at, Caitlyn is up about 20 CS, and 1 kill. So nothing's really changed there. Trista's going for the eye-edge rush, which is fine. I've seen a lot of people building Static Shiv, and I haven't run the numbers. I haven't really looked up guides or anything like that. I know Static Shiv is a viable option, but I can't argue whether or not it is better. You guys feel free to debate that in chat. Alright, so Lee Sin... Q lands onto a minion rather than onto Aatrox, so they're just going to back out. He does not have flash there to set up a play. Fizz is rotating around, should be able to catch them out. The re-engage coming in from Kha'Zix. Again, Aatrox not following up properly. I want to see Aatrox leading these fights with his knock-up, and also misses his skill shot. So, work on your map awareness, work on your communication with your team, and work on your skill shots, because that should not be happening. It's not exactly a hard skill to land. Very nice play from this Fizz. I'm not going to accuse him of anything, but I'm going to guess that he is maybe a Smurf. Because that's a perfect combo. Like, that's exactly how you'd want to play these fights. And he's very, very confident in his damage trades, in his roam potential, in his assassination potential. So, yeah, he's probably going to be graduating. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Fizz is smurfing if he's bronze 4. I need to make sure that you ignore him so that he can't get into future ones. Oh, I'm not denying that he could just be having a good game, but regardless, there's not much that I'm noticing in his gameplay that deserves advice, right? Oh, I'm not angry at him. I'm just saying that there's not much to offer advice about it here, because he's playing his champion essentially perfectly. Alright, so Lee Sin's trying to gank mid. Zed has 0 damage, and Fizz is full health. I don't know if I agree with this. A little bit rushed on the Fizz ult that time, so slight misplay there, but not really going to be an issue. Lee Sin should be able to take this down. Yep. I would turn that into a dragon. Enemy bot lane has gone back. You're both relatively high health. I would be rotating in with Tristana and taking that dragon as fast as possible. Instead, though, it looks like he's going to go for his red buff, or even possibly try and go top. So that's a fine decision, but I would like to see some globals being focused a little bit more. Alright, so Zed Ignite used. You don't have your ult, dude. I don't know what that was. You generally only ignite if you know you can secure the kill, or force an objective, or force them back to base by using it. So, he used his Ignite. There's no ult up. There's no other skills up, so you're literally igniting and walking away from a half-health target. That's not going to secure an advantage. So I would have held on to that Ignite, used it when it was actually going to serve a purpose. Alright, so hook not quite landing. Leona punishes it by going in. On Thresh, you need to hold on to your skills. If you use a skill first, Leona is then free to engage. Hold on to it, and then use it to cancel out her Zenith Blade. Alright, so Kha'Zix is rotated up. They're already onto inhib turret, so very, very nice job. I would have liked to see Lee Sin focusing bot a little bit more. Instead, he's been babysitting top and mid. I don't know if I agree with that because Tristana scales so well. Garen, he's not a late game monster. Zed has already lost lane, whereas bot lane, Tristana has easy comebacks. Thresh sets up fights really well. So I would have focused bot lane, personally. Alright, good pick for bot. Lee trying to flash in to go for the assassination. You know you're going to die in doing that. Or there's a high probability of dying. So I don't agree with that. Focus whoever is closest to you 90% of the time. That's just not a good decision. Zed now ulting in. Tristana is showing up, but a little early on the Zed ult, if that was your intention. Tristana does not have ult. If she were to WE auto attack, she would have been able to kill Caitlyn. Maybe even been able to use it to dodge out of the Zenith Blade. So I really feel that he should have probably taken that because Tristana has the jump reset. Could have zeroed out their 80 carry and then gone back in after the fact. Garen teleporting in. Looks like, yeah, they're going to get that kill on Leona. And it goes over to Trist. So that's going to be something to get Trist back into the game. Yeah, some people are talking about automated jungle timers. They're still against the Riot terms of use. I'm not saying they're going to get you banned. Riot doesn't generally do that, but they are against the rules, and Riot can ban you for them. I'm not saying they're going to. I'm saying that it's right there that they've specifically condemned them. Alright, so they are far enough ahead with this inhibitor advantage that they can force pretty much anything they want. I want to see some globals focused. There's still not been a drag in this game, I don't think. So that's what I want to see done next. Tristana split pushing, picking up some farm for herself. I'm actually okay with that because she needs to finish this eye edge if she's going to be having any effect on this game. Back mid lane, they get, again, free kills for themselves. They're just that far ahead at this point. They can take Baron very, very effectively with the drain tank from Aatrox, the damage coming out from Kha'Zix, Caitlyn, and also from Fizz. I mean, there's nothing stopping them from taking any objectives they want. Instead, they're taking towers, which I'm fine with. I mean, there is a risk associated with the Baron throws and everything. So this is perfectly fine. Alright, so some pings going down onto Dragon from blue team. Respawn on Zed is still 15 seconds away. Good ult. Yep, good job. That's another kill onto Garen, so that then secures them this objective. Oh, very nice kick from Lee. Thresh, you have hook. Okay. You need to lead with guaranteed CC. He tried to hook and flay at the same time. That would be an overlap of CC if it did land, and is wasting both of your CC if it misses. So I don't agree with that. Tristana does get the shutdown, and there's the surrender. Alright, so we are going to go over the general item builds, and then we're going to start the next workshop. Is this going to let me exit or not? Dun, 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 dun. I'm just going to close out of this. It crashed. There we go. Much better. Alright, still no shoutcasters. Lovely. Okay, so we're going to go over final item builds here. Okay, so Kha'Zix, I don't know, he didn't really get very far into his build, so I didn't really see anything accomplished from either his build or his playstyle. He picked up a couple kills, so good for him. A lot of them were going over to Fizz, though, so not a whole lot for him to do across the map. So that's fine. I might have wanted to see a little bit more counter-jungling coming out from him, only because, well, his team didn't really need him. So that would have given him a little bit more gold to play around with, maybe even securing some objectives by himself. Aatrox build is fine. Blade of the Rune King's pretty standard on him. Lets you kite, lets you chase, gives you extra drain tank abilities. It's perfectly fine. Fizz got super, super far ahead, snowballed really easily, and was able to build accordingly. I like his build, actually. I'm not a big fan of rushing Lichbane, but overall, his build was fine, and it accomplished what he needed to do. Caitlyn, Infinity Edge into Phantom Dancer, yeah, pretty standard. Leona did not get Sightstone, and I don't agree with that. It wasn't needed this game because they were so far ahead, but it's such a powerful item. It gives your team so much vision, allows you to, let's say, okay, Caitlyn was super far ahead, right? It would have allowed Leona to gank. It would have allowed Leona to help counter jungle. It would have allowed Leona to set up objectives. She could have, like, two-manned with Kha'Zix. I really wish that she would have gone for a Sightstone, but it worked out in the end, so who cares? Tristana, her build is fine in what she was going for. Her playstyle was also fine. She needs to work on her CSing under tower a little bit more, but overall, no huge complaints. Garen, I don't like damage Garen. I don't like Ghostblade Garen. I don't know why you wouldn't just go like Sunfire or something. That's my own opinion. I mean, there's nothing technically wrong with going Ghostblade, but I don't know, it seems like their team needs a tank. I mean, they have a Lee Sin jungle, who's built damage. They have a Zed, who, in this case, built kind of tanky, but usually is going to build damage. They have a Tristana. So you're a meat shield at that point. So I would expect him to be going full tank. Zed, I don't like him going for the tanky items. He had a lot of issues in lane, and I mentioned it was a very binary lane. Either you succeed or you fail. And he did get shut down early. I would have liked to see him focusing a little bit more on helping with ganks, maybe taking away some jungle camps, finding a way to get himself back into the game. Lee Sin, I like his build, actually. I like the decision to go for the Hex Drinker over other offensive items in order to deal with the Fizz a little bit. Sightstone's not a bad item on Lee for the utility it provides, but I'm shocked that he doesn't have boots. I would have liked to see that picked up. Thresh, I don't like seeing Ruby Sightstone finished before you're building something else. You could have finished up Talisman of Ascension with that gold, and that would have given you 20% CDR to land more hooks, to land more flays. It's just overall better, and have that chase and peel potential. Anyways, overall, good job, everyone. We're going to get into the next game if Brian can invite me, please.